Everything you have ever wanted, you wanted for one reason, and it was never the thing itself. Hegel worked this out in 1807, and it is still the most uncomfortable sentence in philosophy. An animal desires objects. Food, water, warmth, it takes them, consumes them, and it is satisfied. You are not built that way. Human desire, he says, does not want things. Human desire wants another desire. You want to be wanted. Watch yourself honestly and you'll see it everywhere. You didn't want the car, you wanted to be seen owning it. You didn't want the promotion, you wanted the room to turn and acknowledge you. Remove the audience from your ambitions and count how many quietly die. This is where Hegel breaks with everyone before him. Descartes had locked the self in a private room. I think, therefore I am. A mind alone, certain of itself, needing no one. Hegel says that room does not exist. Consciousness is not an interior. It is a hunger thrown outward, aimed at other people. You cannot be a self by yourself. You only become one inside someone else's eyes. Which means human history, all of it, does not begin with a tool or a discovery. It begins with an encounter. Two of these hungers meeting. Two creatures who each need the other to look at them and say, you are real, you matter, you stand above me. And there is a problem built into that meeting from the first second because they both want the identical thing and only one of them can have it. Two of them meet and each wants the same impossible thing, to be recognized by the other and to have the other submit. Both cannot win. And Hegel does not soften what follows. It becomes a struggle to the death. Not a metaphor. He means it literally. Each is willing to kill, and this is the part that matters. Each must be willing to die. Because what separates a human from an animal in this scene is exactly the capacity to want something more than survival. The animal always chooses life. A human can choose to risk everything for a thing you cannot eat, cannot hold, cannot spend, to be looked at with respect. And the fight resolves, not by strength, not by skill, by fear. At some moment one of them feels it, the pure terror of dying, and in that instant chooses life over recognition. He surrenders. He submits. Hegel names the two figures born right there. The one whose desire outweighed his fear of death becomes the master. The one whose fear outweighed his desire becomes the slave. Notice what was actually decided, not who is stronger, who was willing to lose more. The master isn't the better fighter. He's the one who cared less about staying alive. And every hierarchy you have ever stood inside, Hegel is saying, was born in some version of that instant. Somebody blinked. And the blink hardened into the order of things. The master won. And Hegel now does the thing that has been echoing for 200 years. He shows you the victory was worthless, and was worthless from the instant it was won. Remember what the master actually wanted. Recognition. Real recognition from another free human being. That was the entire point of the fight. So look at who's kneeling in front of him. Someone who broke. Someone who chose survival over his own desire, and in doing so surrendered the very thing that made him a full human subject. The master is being recognized by a slave. And what is that worth? Nothing at all. To be admired by someone who has no choice is not to be admired. Praise that cannot be withheld carries no information. He fought a battle to the death to be seen, and won himself a witness of a witness whose seeing means nothing precisely because it isn't free. You have felt this, if you have ever held power over anyone. The compliment from the employee who needs the job, the agreement from the person who is a little afraid of you, the devotion of someone with nowhere else to go. Something in you knows it doesn't count, and the hunger keeps gnawing, unfed. That is the master's permanent condition. He has arranged the world so that nobody whose opinion would matter is left free enough to give it. So the master has won and is stuck. He puts the slave to work. And here Hegel's argument turns into something the next 2 centuries could not stop thinking about. Watch how each of them spends a day. The master consumes. Things are brought to him. He uses them. They vanish. Nothing he touches lasts. He is idle, passive, waiting to be fed. Which is, if you look at it honestly, the exact description of the animal Hegel opened with. The creature whose only relationship to the world is eating it. The slave works. He takes raw matter and forces a shape onto it, and something happens that neither of them intended. In shaping the world, he discovers that he can shape the world. His hands leave marks that stay. He looks up and sees himself standing there in the thing he made, permanent, outside his own head, undeniable. Hegel calls this formative labor. Work that builds the worker. Out of it comes craft, culture, history, everything. And the roles quietly invert. The free man discovers he is dependent. He cannot feed himself, cannot make anything, needs the other for his entire existence. The man in chains discovers he is the source. Sartre said it beautifully about the factory. Even at his most humiliated, a worker still decides whether the screw goes here or there, now or in a minute. And in that inch of choice, freedom begins. The slave does not overthrow the master. He outgrows him. Let me bring this into the room you're sitting in, because Sartre took Hegel's two figures and put them inside love, and it may be the least comfortable idea in this entire course. Between two free people, Sartre says, the same structure appears. The one who loves more is the one who has submitted. Not from weakness, from handing another person the power to define them, to grant or withhold the recognition their whole world now rests on. And the one who loves less rules. Not by cruelty, simply by needing it less. If you love me too much, you are mine. If I love you less, I have you. Every relationship you have watched from the outside and thought, why does she put up with that? Why does he accept this? There is your answer. Nobody chose it. It isn't a character flaw. It is the asymmetry of desire, running the same machinery Hegel found in the fight to the death, only quieter now, in a kitchen, over years. And Hegel's resolution is the shape of his entire philosophy. 3 moves. 2 consciousnesses face each other. One negates the other, and you get master and slave. Then the negated one negates back, not with a knife, but by building. That is the escape, not revenge, creation. Marx took that exact figure, the worker who makes history by working matter, and turned it into a theory of the modern world. So here's what he leaves with you. You cannot be a self alone. You need to be recognized. But recognition taken by force is counterfeit. The moment you dominate someone, their opinion of you stops being worth having. There is only one kind that is real, and it is the hardest to get. Recognition freely given by someone who could have walked away and chose not to. Everything else is a man alone in a room, being applauded by people who have no choice.